Salut everyone! I hate announcing this type of bad news, but this video is gonna be about the fact that EA dropped Apex Legends support on Linux. Like what the heck, boys? What is happening? Let's get into it. As always, we're gonna start with a little bit of context. And let me tell you, I'm gonna explain exactly why I believe this is one of the worst news ever for the gaming scene on Linux. I've been switching to Linux 3 years ago, and one of the games that's really smoothed it out for me was Apex Legends. I'm an ex-professional FPS gamer, professional gamer. I made money for years playing video games and sharing my live stream on Twitch. And Apex Legends was the last game I kind of played seriously, but I never made any money in tournament or anything towards it. I was not good enough. But it was one of the last game I actually stream on Twitch. I really love this game, and it makes my transition towards the world of Linux desktop way easier. And the reason behind it is because Apex Legends, I believe, was one of the best, if not the best, Linux experience when it comes to competitive gaming. I'm just reacting really warm to the announce right now. They just put the announce 2 hours ago, and I'm still trying to figure it out. What other game could have been competitive and that good of an experience on Linux? Because I made multiple video about it. I have one of my main video which has 20,000 or 30,000 views, where I explain why Apex Legends is such a better experience on Linux versus Windows. So I'm gonna let the link in the video description below if you want to watch it, but now it's kind of useless to say the least. But the smoothness, the performance, the FPS, the minimum lows were just above Windows. There were no discussion about that. Again, historically, this game was one of the first to have the support for easy anti-cheat on the Steam Deck, and indirectly take advantage of this. All the Linux users out there were able to play this game on their PC. So I'm also thinking about the Steam Deck user right now, which are certainly in the same position as me, because I'm pretty sure this game was well played on the Steam Deck, because the gamepad support is just insane on Apex Legends. So I do believe that a lot of us are gonna be let on the side because of Electronic Arts' decision to pull out from Linux. Another point I want to mention right now is that Apex Legends is still drawing a lot of eyeballs when it comes to gaming overall. He has a huge competitive scene. I know the number have been on the decline for the last 12 months, 18 months. It's not as big as it was before, but still, losing this type of IP for Linux is bad. It's straight bad. So now let's talk about the game itself. So as I mentioned earlier, there is a lot of decline of user related to the lack of innovation, I believe, in the game, but also some weird decision from the Apex Legend team. I think it's Respawn, the main dev studio out there. The support of gamepad. If you play on a roller right now, you're kind of a god on this game. It's one of the reasons I kind of slow down, because I like to get my ass kicked when it's kind of fair. But when you have to face someone which is body jumping and not missing one bullet when you are also jumping on the other hand, because he's using a roller, it's a little bit frustrating, right? But that's the main reason. But one of the other reasons is the fact that there is a lot more cheaters. And, cheaters are something which is more and more common nowadays in a lot of different games. But I'm guessing that Apex Legends has been also impacted by this. And if you add up all those, little factors, the lack of innovation, the mouse and keyboard user getting put on the side indirectly, and the fact there is more and more cheater out there, it kind of like give you an idea of where it's at right now. However, cheaters are not an issue just on Apex Legends, and also not an issue on Linux itself. Like it need to be said, and I'm gonna say it here because I think I have the stature. Can I say that? Well, anyways, like I think I come from a place where I'm like solid enough in video game to tell you if someone is cheating or not. And you know, you have certainly heard a lot of people like when you are teaming in some of those games will get owned and will be like, oh, it's because it's a cheater. But the truth is like most of the time, like they're getting owned because they're bad. It's okay to be bad. We all started somewhere. But like you get the idea, right? And from my perspective, being a full-time streamer on PlayerUnknown's Battleground at the big era time where there were like millions of users on a daily basis on PUBG, there were cheaters, that's for sure, but they were not that common. There were some, but it was not like a cheater at every corner, like some people they want you to believe. I heard that the situation has been getting worse, and for sure, because I witnessed it during I think I played like 3 years or 4 years straight, like every day. I've seen more and more cheaters, but even by playing like 8 to 12 hours a day and streaming my gameplay, I could see maybe like a cheater like every week or every week and a half. It was not that bad, okay? And when I moved to other game later, because I stopped PUBG, I moved to Escape from Tarkov, I could tell like the number of cheaters was also there growing at a really fast pace. And you know, like when I'm thinking about it, like with the background right now, like I understand why the team of Battlestate Games, they are not willing to get into the Linux world. And we're going to talk about it because we're going to read the article together. But I wanted to say to you guys that overall, like the cheating issue, even if it's not as big as some people want you to believe, I still believe it's there. And it's there on Windows. Even with the kernel anti-cheat measure. I'm not even talking about the other game like Call of Duty, which is infested in cheaters. I've played this game and I've noticed a lot of them. PUBG has a kernel anti-cheat too and still infested. I'm talking about Valorant too, which, anyways, like you know where I'm going, right? Let's get into the article to see like the reason behind the scene, like why they decided to pull out from Linux. So this is an article from The Verge. It has been published as I'm recording like 2 hours ago. And Apex Legends is taking away its support for the Steam Deck and Linux. Apex Legends is one of the only Battle Royale games that let you play on a Steam Deck gaming handheld, which is true. Fortnite, Valorant, PUBG, and more never supported it in the first place, citing concern about anti-cheat. But today, Electronic Arts and Respawn are taking the game away for that very same reason. So in terms of historic, we lost 1 month ago GTA 5 Online, and now we are losing Apex Legends. So I quote the EA like speaker there. In our effort to combat cheating in Apex, we have identified Linux OS as being a part of a variety of impactful exploits and cheats. As a result, we have decided to block Linux OS access to the game. Apex Legends did have an anti-cheat software that did run on the Steam Deck. Specifically, the game used Epic Game Easy Anti-Cheat (EAC), which has been compatible with Linux gaming handheld for over 3 years now. But that was not good enough for Epic Game on Fortnite, Tim Sweeney, which explained that the threat model was too large. Linux cheats are indeed harder to detect, and the data show that they are growing at a rate that requires an outsized level of focus and attention from the team for a relatively small platform. There are also cases in which cheats for the Windows OS get emulated as if it's seen on Linux in order to increase the difficulty of detection and prevention, EA right today. So I don't know if you watched my previous video when I react to the Linux experiment talking about this issue. And to this point, I think that this paragraph here, and it's just my 2 cents, is a fair point. Okay, because if the surface of the attack on Linux is actually bigger, and those big corporations, they don't want to invest the money because the player base of Linux is too small, their only way out is to plug the cable. It is sad, but this is the reality of business in general. Riot Games has similar concern. Like many competitive multiplayer game developers, it also doesn't support Valorant and League of Legends on Linux due to the increased possibility of cheating. In a recent interview to The Verge, Philippe Kosnikas, director of anti-cheat Valorant, discussed why game developers are shying away from Linux support. You can freely manipulate the kernel and there is no user mod call to attest that it is even genuine. You could make a Linux distribution that purpose built for cheating and we would be smoked. I will continue to read his saying and then I'm gonna react to that. Linux is so open that you can run an emulated version of Counter-Strike 2 right now on a Steam Deck and still have a cheat on the device. Imagine if Steam Deck just had the security handled so we know it's a genuine device, it's fully attested, all these features are enabled, we'll be like, cool, go game, no problem. So you realize what is being said there. They are mentioning that they have no control about the kernel itself, and because they can validate the genuine version of the kernel, well, they don't have really any control towards the cheat within their game because the anti-cheat are running at the user level on Linux, and their excuse is to say like they could have cheat at a higher level and totally like smoke us. So to this, we could find a solution. I'm sure Valve could do something, but to reading what they are saying right now, I don't see any will to go in that direction. Like, I don't see it. To me, it's just a nice way to pull out and say, okay, guys, you don't give us enough tool to do whatever we want to do, and your anti-cheat as it is right now is totally useless. So we are pulling out. So to his defense and my personal experience, because I have to share my own truth here, okay? And on my Discord, one day I had one of the users who was asking like some help for a specific program related to Apex Legends. Because again, like my video of Apex Legends on Linux had a little bit of a success. And this gentleman came on my Discord and was like, hey, do you know how to install like blah, blah, blah? And I was like, no, what is blah, blah, blah? He's like, yeah, it's for Apex Legends. And so one of my other users mentioned the fact that this application was actually a cheat developed on GitHub for cheating on Apex Legends on Linux. And it was like open source there. I couldn't believe my eyes. So I do believe that the surface of attack could be, or maybe is bigger. I'm not saying like those devs are lying. Okay, this is not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying though, is that it could be interesting to see like why they are not willing to move towards the direction of Linux. Because my argument is pretty simple. It is simple in a way that if you look at all those games which have the kernel anti-cheat on Windows, well, they still have a lot of cheaters. Putting outside from Linux is not going to solve their issue. It's maybe going to minimize it, but at what scale? Because I'm not a cheater. I despise them, to be fair. But like, you have to see it as it is. Running Linux and running a cheat on Linux, as I mentioned, is not really something which is easy for all the users out there, right? Most of the shit right now, they are like complex, but they are not as complex as tinkering with the kernel and installing like a Linux for this specific purpose. And I can't imagine that the number of cheaters are that big compared to the old school cheater on Windows. Maybe I'm wrong, this is just my assumption, but this is where we're at, guys. Now, what does it mean for Linux gaming in general? Like, is that the end of Linux gaming? Like, because the way I present it, it's kind of bad, but it is bad. Because if a lot of like companies are kind of pulling out by showing the fact that Linux is a source of cheater and is a perfect platform for people who wanna cheat in multiplayer game, is gonna put us in a space where gaming on Linux, and especially competitive gaming on Linux, is gonna be impossible, as it is right now. So if you take a quick look at the most popular game right now on Steam, you will see that most of them, when it comes to like competitive gaming, they're just not supported. So Counter-Strike works. Dota 2 works. But Banana, man, I just downloaded this game. When I was looking at the list, I never heard about it. I'm gonna have to try on the stream with you guys. This is insane that we are like 440,000 clicking on a Banana. But anyways, this one is supported by Linux. Enjoy, boys and girls, the big Banana. Okay, but like PUBG, which is kind of dead compared to what it was before, but it's still like really popular compared to the other game. This one will never be on Linux. Call of Duty, no chance either. Rust, no chance either. Grand Theft Auto, it's gone. It's gone like 2 weeks ago. Now we lost Apex Legends. We don't have like EA Sport FC25, I guess it's FIFA. It's gone. So we have Deadlock, which is Valve and works really good, by the way, on Linux. Daisy works. And I didn't have like any like bad return towards this game for Linux. I hope it's gonna stay that way. But you get the idea, right? We are on the top 20 there. And there is only like 1, 2, and 3 competitive game, which are supported on Linux. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like they have 6 games. So you have like more than a double, which are not. And honestly, like this is a problem. This is a big problem in my opinion, because if you also look at the other games which are not in this list, you have obviously like Valorant, you have League of Legends, you have Battlefield, you have Rainbow Six Siege, which doesn't work, you have Destiny 2, so we are getting a little bit away from competitive gaming, but still, you have Fortnite, which is a big one, you have Faceit, every iteration of Faceit, Counter-Strike 2, by the way, not working on Linux, and another one also I need to mention is Escape from Tarkov. Like they have been proposing to put the game on Linux for years now, but it's not going to happen, I believe, because they are full of cheaters. Like the game is at a state where there is a cheater in every free game. Like there is a famous video which has been published, like I think like 1 year ago. There were at the time 1 cheater in every free game, which is insane, like just crazy. So we are in this weird loop, right, of the snake that is eating his own tail. Because on one hand, if we want Linux to be considered as a great platform, we need more players. But on the other hand, most of the, I would say like, popular game, multiplayer popular game getting played right now, and also like for the last 3 years, guess what? They are not compatible with Linux. So this is a circle of the snake eating his own tail. It's a French expression, but you know, we are in this circle where it just can't grow. Because we need more players, but we can't have more players because the game are not playable. So how do we get out of here? Like, sincerely, like it kind of worries me. Okay, I was really positive when I discussed and react the video of the Linux experiment last week. But when I see this news, I can see a trend now. I can see a trend that people are willing to pull out rather than making the effort. Making the effort to develop an anti-cheat that will actually work on every platform. Because let's be honest, guys, like the cheater on Windows, they will still be here. It has been proven that this kernel anti-cheat does not work. Like it just does not work. There is way to avoid it. There is way to just like abuse it. Okay, like there is many video online. I don't want to get there, but you get the idea. This is not the way. What I would like to see is like a company like Valve, you know, or any other company, coming with a server-side anti-cheat, which will be totally independent from the platform. And this will give a fair shot to all the different operating systems out there. Because the attitude of the dev and also the producer of those games, distributor of those games, well, guess what? They don't want to put the money into that. They don't want to put the effort. But on the long run, it's going to hurt them first because cheaters still will be here. And it will also hurt the growth of Linux and the growth in popularity of Linux when it comes to gaming. So, guys, you can still game. I'm gonna be playing just after this video Diablo 4 on Linux. I'm gonna have a ton of fun. It's a multiplayer game. It's not competitive. There is no anti-cheat, I believe, and even if there is one, well, I can still play, no problem. But all those other games, well, you won't be able to play them. So I'm telling you, like, enjoy them while you can on Linux, because I don't see any type of positive outcome, unfortunately, for competitive gaming on Linux in the coming months. Or maybe we're gonna have a big surprise, but man, like, I don't like to bet on surprise. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I want to thank the incredible support we had last stream. It was incredible, guys. I want to thank you for all the love you send me. If you like the channel, don't forget to become a member on Patreon or on YouTube. It helps me a lot. And until then, bisous, bisous.